don't know if anyone remembers this, but when Donald Trump was running for president in 2016, he or somebody in his camp owned JebBush.com. Jeb Bush was another Republican candidate. And when you went to JebBush.com, it redirected to Donald Trump's website. Do you know how insane and negligent you have to be to run for the president of the United States and not own your URL? That whoever was in charge of that should have been fired. But for real, Jeb Bush, as a political candidate, should have owned his URL for years. That should have been, even thinking about it today is mind blowing. If you are into politics, if your name is your brand, you have to own your URL, because Donald Trump or Donald Trump's camp should not have been able to purchase and own this domain, so that when people search Jeb Bush and JebBush.com comes up, click Donald Trump. It's evil genius, but it's crazy that was even available. It's crazy, like unacceptable. Unacceptable. Don't be Jeb Bush. Hello, my name is Blogazine. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, hey, how you doing? Welcome to my side of the internet. If you're coming back, welcome back. This is the first episode of a brand new series called Business Diaries, where we'll be talking business, sharing my journey as an entrepreneur and what I've learned along the way, edifying your experience and your journey. This particular episode is going to be for anyone who is interested in branding themselves, whether you're a small business, whether you are an influencer, an aspiring politician, or an upcoming person in any way, shape, or form, whether you're an artist, a writer, any way that you're interested in branding yourself. This episode is particularly for you, because we're going to be talking about how do you own your narrative in the digital space? How do you take up digital real estate? What does digital real estate mean? How do you keep track of your digital footprint? I've been a serial entrepreneur for over 10 years with my pride and joy touch of a queen, which is an African fashion and lifestyle business that will be turning 10 in 2025. So proud, so excited for the 10-year anniversary of that business. In my corporate career, I am a digital content expert, really helping and understanding the e-commerce side of things as well as people's digital footprint. I'm also a college communications professor, and I have been a business coach and consultant to businesses throughout North America and Africa. So when it comes to your digital footprint, I know what I'm talking about. I may not be a trademark expert, but your digital footprint, your digital real estate, that I can give you tips on. So this episode is for anyone who falls into the realm of trying to figure out, how do I take up space? How do I shift my narrative to in person to make sure I also have a presence online? And how do I make sure that my presence online is clear, not confusing to my audience, and findable? How do I make sure that my presence is findable to my audience? And we'll be talking about that today, how to make sure that everything you have and everything you're creating is accessible and findable to your audience by some really, really easy tips just to begin with. We're not going too in depth, just the beginning things that I ask my clients about, to my concern that they usually have no idea what I'm talking about. So before we go into what the tips are for actually taking up digital real estate, let's talk about why it's important, because some people don't even understand the value of taking up digital real estate. When I refer to digital real estate, I'm talking about your digital presence. When people look you up, when people refer to your brand, or when people are curious about what you're doing, or if they have no idea and just want to see you, what do they find? What will they find? Whether you are a local politician and no one's ever heard of you, but you want to get your name out there, people are likely to Google search you. If you're a small business, even if you're looking to get more real estate or more action in your area, people are likely to find you on social media. There are so many different places and so many ways that people are interacting with information, and that main place is the internet. So if you do not have a digital presence, it is a huge disservice and a huge miss for you to gain an audience. Even if your business is through word of mouth, having a digital presence expands how word of mouth will work for your benefit. So let's talk about that. SEO is the first thing that I want to talk about. SEO is search engine optimization. It is relevant to every single digital platform that is out there, whether you're on social media, whether you're on Amazon, or through your Google search. SEO in its simplest form is how do you show up when people are searching for something that is similar to your business or your business name directly. So using Google search, for example, if you have a business and someone is looking for your business or wants to find more about your campaign as a politician or your brand as an influencer, and they Google you, on the first page of Google, what's going to show up? Your search engine optimization really refers to how your brand name will show up in correspondence with the narrative and what you're putting out there online. So we want to make sure that your name, your brand name, your business name is showing up when people search you on Google. This also shows up on social media. You see with a lot of hashtags or with a lot of descriptions and people put in the body when people research you on social media, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. What comes up? Do you even show up? And is it more user-generated content where people are talking about your business or businesses similar to yours? Or is it your content that's rising to the top? Another reason it is essential to take up digital real estate is to own your own narrative. I say this to my clients all the time. Don't let anyone tell your story for you. Tell your story for yourself. Don't let anyone give an interpretation of what you do. Tell them what you do, own the narrative, and then if they want to add into the conversation, they can do that. But don't let anyone tell your story besides you. And sometimes a lot of companies, a lot of people, a lot of small businesses let other people talk about them online and just say whatever. And those voices dominate those conversations, and those businesses have no digital footprint to combat anything or to exist in any way, shape, or form. And now the narrative that ends up being about these brands is what people have to say about them and not what they say themselves. So that can be a really risky situation because the internet is a very unreliable place. It can go in your favor one day and go in your negative aspect the next day or the next hour because, internet is in turmoil as far as going roller coaster about what's good, what's not good, what they love, what they hate in the next moment. So you always want to make sure that you own your narrative. And the way you can do that is by taking up digital real estate. But if you have nothing yourself and the internet speaks and different platforms speak about you or your business or your campaign, you are in trouble because by the time you're coming into the conversation, you're secondary and you want to be the primary source for your brand. It also gives clarity to your audience. If your audience is looking for you online or comes across you online, how do they know what's real and what's not? There is so much fake stuff on the internet. People are imitating influencers, politicians, businesses every single day. And it's very confusing for the consumer who's not going to do a deep dive, which most people do not have the time or attention span to do. So you want to make it so easy for your audience to find you. Be clear about what your message is. Be clear about what you offer, what you deliver, where you are, how you're showing up, and that is the authentic, verified, trusted version of you. So taking up digital real estate also says, hey, I'm here. This is me. I'm real. And don't listen to all the fake stuff. Because once you're successful, once people see that you're gaining some sort of notoriety, it is evident that they will catfish you and use your business, use your image, and oftentimes imitate or try to copy and leech off of what you created. But you have to be there first. If you let other people get to the conversation first, your voice drowns out. It drowns out in the conversation if it even gets a leg into the conversation. So you want to be the primary source so that you can give your audience clarity and trustworthiness, and they can have a relationship with you in that way and say, no, we know where to find so-and-so. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but when Donald Trump was running for president in 2016, he or somebody in his camp owned JebBush.com. Jeb Bush was another Republican candidate. And when you went to JebBush.com, it redirected to Donald Trump's website. Do you know how insane and negligent you have to be to run for the president of the United States and not own your URL? That whoever was in charge of that should have been fired. But for real, Jeb Bush, as a political candidate, should have owned his URL for years. That should have been, even thinking about it today is mind blowing. If you are into politics, if your name is your brand, you have to own your URL, because Donald Trump or Donald Trump's camp should not have been able to purchase and own this domain, so that when people search Jeb Bush and jebbush.com comes up, click Donald Trump. It's evil genius, but it's crazy that that was even available. It's crazy, like unacceptable. Unacceptable. Don't be Jeb Bush. First tip, own your URL. I can't say this enough. Own your URL, own your domain name. Many of my clients have no idea what that means. My students have had no idea what that means, even the internet generation. Owning your own domain, owning your own URL is your .com, your actual website. Some people get so caught up in social media that they forget, well, I need to own my own website. The first question I ask all of my clients or anyone that I'm coaching is, do you have a website? That's number one. Number two, if you don't have a website, do you at least own your URL? So owning your URL is saying, for me, mobasiniola.com. I own mobasiniola.com. So if you look at mobasiniola or mobasiniola.com, it's me. I'm the one that shows up. Do you own your name? Do you own your brand name? Do you own your political name? Any way that you show up, your artist name, do you own that name? How do you purchase a domain? So I have used a few different platforms. I've used Ionos, I've used GoDaddy, I've used Namecheap.com, and there are plenty others out there. So if you just do a Google search and say purchase a .com or purchase a domain, you can find out any of these platforms that you can purchase your domain, and that is how you own your digital real estate. The main way that you should do it, like my number one tip, if you can't do anything else today, is to own your domain name. And you can own the .com, the .net, whatever you want, but at least if that's all you can do is start with the .com. Whether it's your name.com, your brand name.com, your business name.com, your political name.com, own your .com. And if it's not available, that is important information for you to know. So I would say go to the website name, see if it already exists, or if it's someone already has it. Now, would I advise you to purchase it if someone already owns it? I would say it's up to you. touchofaqueen.com was not available to me for many years. When I chose Touch of a Queen as a business name, when I had already done everything, I reached out to the person who owned it and they wanted me to pay extra for it and I couldn't afford it at the time. And so I just waited them out. Instead, when you went to my website, it was touchofaqueen.me.me. It wasn't the best version, but it was something that I can tell people like, hey, it's me, Touch of a Queen. However, I waited the touchofaqueen.com owner out, honey, and I purchased it, and I purchase it every year and make sure I'm purchasing it for years, because now it is essential to my business. My business is almost 10 years old. I cannot not own my website where people come and shop. So if you have it available, purchase it. You can get it for as little as 99 cents. Some of these companies that sell domains for as little as 99 cents or even smaller than that, they have all these different deals where you can purchase a domain for a really affordable price. So if you have just $5 today, just $5, even less, even $3, you could probably purchase a domain for at least a year and see when you can afford it the next time to add another $5, put money away so that you can own your domain. Even if you don't build a website right away, even if you don't host a website right away, even if you're not even going to use it anytime soon, own it so that when you are ready to use it, it's available to you. Because just because it's available today doesn't mean it's going to be available tomorrow. There are people who are in the business of purchasing domains that they think will be popular or they think someone will want so that they can resell it. That is a business. And these resellers can sell domains for hundreds of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even millions of dollars, depending on how important it is to someone. And if you have any inkling that you will be somebody, or that your idea will blow up, or that you have any opportunity to be successful, own your domain. Because having to buy it from someone for thousands of dollars versus you investing $5 today it's not even a comparison. It is the best thing for you to do. I tell my college students this, like, just because you're in college doesn't mean it doesn't matter. If you know a young person who is doing something great or has the potential to really be successful, own their domains, purchase it for them, give it to them as a gift, and just keep renewing. It's so important, because social media are the next points I'm going to bring up. But before I go to that, when you own your domain, that is your piece of real estate on the internet. No one is coming to take it from you. If other platforms shut down, you still own your website. It is yours. And a lot of these other ways that you're going to have a digital footprint and secure your digital footprint are by platforms that you don't own and can shut down and shut you out at any moment. But the one thing that cannot shut you out is the domain that you own. It's the .com, the website that you own. If you look at some of your most favorite people, they have renditions of their name, renditions of their businesses that lead to one site, or that they're just left unavailable for purchase, which is so important and so smart. Donald Trump, as using the Donald Trump example that I spoke about earlier, you don't want to be Jeb Bush. You do not want to be Jeb Bush and be doing something so important and lose out on your access, because yeah, he came up with Jeb2016.com, but it's not the same as JebBush.com. It's just not the same. And when people look up Jeb Bush, what's going to come up? JebBush.com. Anyway, let's go to the next point. Social media. So I know I mentioned social media. None of us own those platforms, but it's so essential for us to make sure that we have access and own our names on those platforms. One of the things that I've seen when people discover that different businesses are launching different aspects, like I know Kylie Cosmetics, when she was launching Kylie's Cosmetics, or when Fenty was launching Fenty Beauty, people verified and found out because they went and secured their social media handles. And so when they secured their social media handles, people started following them with no posting, no idea when it was coming. They just saw that it was secured. And that is how important it is to secure your social media handles on any platform that you can get your hands on. Now, I know a lot of people say focus on one social media platform, focus on Instagram or focus on TikTok so you don't get overwhelmed. And I agree with that. But I will say, if you have the time, if you have the bandwidth, own your name on as many platforms as possible, just for brand cohesiveness. The goal would be for my name, for me to own Mobusy Niola on every platform. Unfortunately, that did not come to be. I couldn't own my name on, I think, Twitter, and I couldn't own my name on TikTok. I had to do a different rendition of my name, but ideally I would have been able to own my name on every single platform. Doesn't always work that way. Like, we know the internet and the world is a really big place, but you want to have as much brand cohesiveness as possible. And so that's why it's important to own your brand name on social media, because so many people on social media, so many people are looking for things on social media all the time, and you can come up anyway. And simultaneously, I would say with social media is use hashtags. One of the things I'm really intentional about using when I am on social media is the hashtag attached to my brand. So every post a Touch of a Queen post, I do hashtag Touch of a Queen. Or any post that I post, I do hashtag Mobusy Niola, hashtag more, which is another version of my brand. And I just just to make sure that when people are looking me up on the internet, my digital footprint is reaching out there, that SEO is pushing me forward. And right now we can do a Google search and we can look together to see how I show up. Okay, so I'm going to open up a incognito Chrome page on my phone and type in Mobusy Niola so that we can see what comes up. So first thing Google always does is try to correct my name. And no, at least this is a close version. I don't even know if this is somebody's name. It says Modesini Ola, but my name is Mobasini Ola. So Mobasini Ola, when you look it up, we are here on Google. The first thing that comes up is my Instagram. So Instagram is one of the highest ranking platforms, Instagram and Facebook. When you have a page on Instagram and Facebook, SEO is extremely high. So when people Google you, the first thing to come up is usually one of those platforms, which is, their Instagram and Facebook. They run their internet. Second after that is mobasiniola.com, which I mentioned earlier that I own. And then third is Facebook, like I mentioned. And then even fourth is a Facebook, Instagram post. And then TikTok is in there trying to compete. So Mobasiniola is, even though I don't own Mobasiniola on TikTok, the Mobasiniola, Ashampala Randall, so I put my whole name on there so people can still find me. And on TikTok, I'm Mobasiniola OOAR, which I'm the same thing on Twitter as well. But it was still able to pick me up as the correct Mobasiniola on the top ranking. So this is just fifth right here on Google. And then sixth again is my name. Seventh is Pinterest. Eighth is my IMDb, when I have an IMDb credit for a doc I was in. And then eighth is an article with my name in it that is actually accurate, is me. And then down here, YouTube, which you're watching on YouTube today, is my YouTube ranking, my LinkedIn page, another article about me, and some posts that I have on TikTok and other platforms. And then, yeah, so if you just search me incognito, no cookies, no history, what you're going to come across is me. And everything, for the most part, that relates to me. You will come across look at this. I have a digital magazine, More Magazine, shameless plug. And when you scroll down, even More Magazine shows up. That is one of my brands. It's my blog, like a digital magazine, a blog, and even me putting my name in there shows up. A millennial, I call it a love letter to millennial women from Mobasiniola, and I showed up. Some videos that I have, I did do a pop-up shop, and someone's at the door. I did do a pop-up shop in Bedford-Stuyvesant a few years ago, but when you get to this Medium page, this Mobasiniola is not me. But it takes you a long time to get to the Mobasiniola that is not me. This shows, again, another Mobasiniola that is not me, but you got to scroll all the way down to see Mobasiniola that's not me. And if we go back up and look at images, you see Modasiniola, who is not Mobasiniola. So they're showing results. So let me go for Mobasiniola. When you change the results to me, it's me. Look at me. So this is how my digital footprint shows up for my name. This is how my digital footprint shows up for me. And for the most part, it is authentically me. There are some people who have my name that show up, but my name is very uncommon. So don't think that you have to show up like this. My name is very, very uncommon. And not even just in America, like even in my culture, I don't have a very common name. So that allows me to have a digital footprint like this, but I've also been building this for years. So it gives me the opportunity to really take up this space. Even if a brand new Mobasiniola comes up today, they're still not going to have the digital footprint that I have because I've been building mine for years. And as long as I'm consistent with it, it will be a huge challenge for them to outrank me because I've done the social media. I've done my own platforms. I've done my .com, mobasiniola.com. So I own all of that. So it'll be really difficult for someone to now come in and sweep in over the SEO ranking for my name. One of the things that I encourage one of my clients about that when they had something that was launching under their name is to Google search themselves. So I don't know if they did it, but I did it for them. And when I was Google searching them, I was incredibly disturbed because I was like, you do not own anything to do with your narrative. They're just articles about you. There are things that people are saying about you, but you don't own anything. This person did not even own their URL. I bought it with the quickness because I was like, now that it's on my mind, I'm gonna buy your URL for you because you cannot have this. And we need to be aggressive with a campaign to flood the internet with your narrative, to flood the internet with content that is authentic to you, that you are the primary source of, so that we can take everything that's already ranking in Google and push it down as low as possible. Because one of the things that happens is when you don't own the information that's on the platform, you can't cancel it. Like, you can't just take it out. We're not Beyonce, honey. Beyonce somehow makes things disappear from the internet, but a lot of us cannot do that when news articles are written about us or tweets are written about us. But what we can do is hopefully outrank that information by being the primary source of things that have to do with our name, our business name, and our look. So one thing that I would add to that: own your URL, get your social media handles, and Google yourself to see where you rank, your authentic content ranks against what people are searching about you, and then make a plan about how you can outrank that stuff by adding your voice to the narrative, adding things that you own to the narrative in social media, on your .com, etc. And this is how you just take up digital real estate no matter what you do. Let me know if you have any questions, things that you want to learn more about, or if you need some help getting into the URL domain space. One of the things that I'm really particular about when I have a new business idea or I'm looking and trying names for things that I'm developing is what already exists out there online. So that's one of the tips that I would give if you're in the infancy stage or the creative phase of deciding what your artist name will be or what your brand name will be, is to do some research out there and see what already exists so that you're not competing with a like thing, or you can create a rendition of it that is unique to you so that you can own that digital space and that your audience will know your brand for the unique thing that you create and not mix you up with what other people are doing, because it's so easy to get mixed up. We've seen that with some restaurants that have that issue, that when they have a name that's similar to another restaurant that's in their town or in their vicinity, they get mixed up in a good or a bad conversation, and you don't want good press to go to someone else because there's a mix up, and you don't want to inherit bad press because there's a mix up. So it's so important to do a Google search when you're in the infancy stage of creating, but to also do a social media research so that you know what's out there, what you're competing with, and how you can uniquely show up as your very own and be consistent around all the platforms. That is another tip that I would add in there. If you find a name or you have a name that you've created and you can consistently have the same exact name on every single platform from your .com to your social media, do that. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and let me know how else I can help and what you'd like to see on Business Diaries.